Hi, it's Lisan. Welcome to a What I Eat in a Week video.
Starting on Monday breakfast, I had 6 or 7 bananas just put on a plate. This is a really quick breakfast for me. Sometimes I'm just too lazy to make a smoothie and I just pop the bananas on a plate and eat them. For lunch, I had leftovers from last night. So from Sunday night where I made Alfredo pasta, vegan, from the Engine 2 website for my family. For dinner, I had my mum's cooking. She usually just cooks rice and veggies and some other stuff that's not vegan for the rest of my family, but I eat the vegan portion. So that was my dinner. And after that, I had some bread with more curry potato. It's one of my favorite things to do, to just put curry on bread and eat it. Tuesday breakfast, I had some leftover fruit that my brother had, just a bit of orange, and then I made my own smoothie using 6 bananas and about 6 or 7 dates with some frozen blueberries in water, plus some coconut sugar and some flax meal. So this is a really nutrient-dense smoothie and one of my favorite ones to make because it's so tasty but so healthy as well. So the way I make it is to blend up the dates, blueberries and flax meal and sugar first with the water, and I like to make it really fine and blend it up, and this way I don't have to blend the bananas with the smoothie and the blueberry particles get really small without having to oxidize the banana in there. So after I blend the mixture without the bananas, I put the bananas in, then I blend it up again, but I put it on low and then I pulse the mixture, or I might just blend it for a short time. That's the finished result of the smoothie. I don't know why it looks brown, but sometimes it just turns out like that, and not everything is pretty like on some Instagram posts. For lunch, I had some pasta. You'll see one of the recipes on my channel for this. It's just the pasta my way recipe where I blend up some red peppers, tomatoes in the blender, and then I pour that mixture into the saucepan with beans and the seasoning, turmeric and parsley, plus maybe a bit of salt, and then I put it onto the pasta. And for dinner, again, it was my mum's cooking. I had the veggie portion with basmati rice. For breakfast the next morning, I started with 3 bananas and then I made some oats. I've got a recipe for this as well. It's the nutrient-dense oats. I add all these ingredients that I'm showing you to the oats. So these are my favorite ingredients to use in oats, and that's the finished result. So check out the recipe for that if you're interested in this one. Really easy breakfast to make when you run out of fruit. For lunch, I made some potato chips, and those were the potatoes I used, and those are the seasonings I used. I like to use smoked paprika, turmeric and rosemary, plus some salt and pepper. So that's the amount that I made. I actually didn't consume all of that for lunch. I made about this much in one tray, and then I had some more left over which I just put in a container to eat the next day for lunch. So that's what I had for lunch. 1 tray of that plus tomato sauce. For dinner, I had some of the leftover pasta I made from the day before. I had some leftover rice pasta, so I added some veggie stock, cabbage and mushrooms. I then had a few crackers with avocado, and then I had a little bit of rice with more potato. So it was a bit of an eclectic dinner. For breakfast the next day, I had 2 oranges and a banana, and I made the oats again because I didn't have that many ripe bananas to eat. Normally I'd eat more bananas, but if I don't, then I just have the oats. For lunch, I had the rest of the baked chips that I didn't finish yesterday, plus I had about 2/3 of this pot of sweet potato. The other 1/3 of the sweet sweet potato I was going to use for a smoked paprika cheese recipe that I found on YouTube by Cooking by Plants or Cooking with Plants. So that's the recipe, and I was going to make pizza for my family that night, and for some reason my agar-agar powder turned out green. I think it was because it's from the Asian shop, and the disappointing thing is that it had vanilla flavor, so it affected the flavor of the cheese a bit, but that's the mixture without the agar-agar solution. I probably would use only pure agar-agar powder next time, because the vanilla really makes the cheese a little bit strange. But this was the first time I tried out the recipe, and I used exactly the right portions. This is the way the cheese turned out. I was quite impressed, but on crackers it's not actually that nice, so I had this as a snack. And the cheese also turned out a bit too soft for my liking, and it was not very easy to grate because of such a soft texture. I'd probably add more water next time, or less water I should say, not more. And it turned out a bit soggy looking, but if you put it on pizza and bake it, it's not that bad. It's actually quite nice, and I think if the agar-agar powder didn't have vanilla flavor in it, it would have turned out even better. So I made pizza for my family, and that's how they turned out. I think I had about 1 1/4 of the pizzas while my family had the rest. They're usually not that hungry. For breakfast the next morning I had some leftovers from my brother. Plus I made my own smoothie using 2 apples and the rest of the dates that we had, which is 8 dates. So I made an apple date smoothie, one of my other favorite smoothies. You can also add cinnamon or more sugar to it if you like cinnamon flavor. For lunch I had some sweet potatoes, so I had 1 large and 2 small ones. I just steamed them up. It was a really simple lunch. I steamed them and then I seasoned them with a little bit of rosemary and turmeric, and then I added 1/4 of a large avocado just for decoration. Then I made more pizza for dinner. I had I think 1 1/2 that night because we had leftover Lebanese bread, so I had that for Friday night dinner plus a bit of avocado.